Hi friends, my name is Mila and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. First, I wanted to say thank you guys so much for the support on my last video. I was honestly expecting no one to see it, so the fact that I got so many sweet comments and so much support on honestly not a high quality, very good video really warmed my heart, and it really gave me a lot more motivation to make YouTube videos, so thank you for that. I really appreciate it. You may or may not notice, but I actually have a mic now. You can't see it in the frame, but I wanted to buy one because I felt like the audio was definitely one of the worst things in my last video. I don't think I'm gonna buy a camera anytime soon. I'm just gonna keep using my phone. But I figured a mic would be a good investment for now, and hopefully I'm using it correctly and hopefully the audio sounds better. So for today's video, I wanted to walk you guys along my process of making my new channel outro. Since my channel's still super new and I haven't made any videos yet, I'm still making assets like that, like my outro, maybe making little cute details that you might see throughout this video. And I kind of just wanted to show you guys how I ended up making the channel outro. Now, this isn't a tutorial. I'm not great at explaining how I do things in Illustrator. It's more just to show you guys my creative process and kind of a fun walk along of the very early beginning stages of my channel. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Let's get right into it. Right now, I'm just looking at my screen recording, and the first thing I do is open Pinterest. So I really can't start any project without having a Pinterest board for it and having some inspiration. So the first thing I do is open my graphic design board. This is just a board that I use all the time that I put inspiration into. As you can see, I'm picking this color palette that I like. I love greens and pinks, so I just really wanted to use this palette. I liked it, and I just created a board and named it YouTube because I figured whatever inspiration I use for this, I'm probably going to use later on in future videos. I just did the search YouTube channel kind of to see what other people do. I liked this cozy routines thumbnail that I saw from another YouTuber, so I figured this would kind of be my vibe. Right now I'm just looking at other intro YouTube videos. I like this one for Claudia Walsh. I've never seen her videos, but this was a super cute intro that I liked. At this point, I wasn't sure if I was doing an intro or an outro, but later on you'll see that I did decide to do an outro instead. You can just see that I'm pretty much just scrolling around looking at other inspiration. Nothing specific that has caught my eye just yet, but everything just looks really cute, trying to figure out what my aesthetic is gonna be, you know. I love PewDiePie's videos, specifically his vlogs from Japan, so I kind of wanted to see how he introduces his videos. So here I am just kind of skipping ahead. I love Susie J. Todd's YouTube videos, so I was seeing what channel intro she had. Pretty simple, pretty cute. I wouldn't say it's necessarily the vibe I was going for. Again, I don't end up making an intro. I actually end up making an outro just because I don't feel like I need an intro for my YouTube videos. Maybe in the future. You can see here that now I'm actually looking at outros. I wonder if any of this is interesting. I feel like most of my design process is straight up just looking at Pinterest first and not doing anything else. So because I decided to do an outro, here I am looking at more examples of that. You can see that you kind of have to have little spaces for where you're going to put your thumbnail, your profile picture. I really like the cute cottagecore type colors in this video. It looks really cute. You can see here I ended up clicking on this banner intro and outro pin, I guess. I really like the aesthetic of this one. Not so much the colors, but I like the way it looked. Here I decided to kind of pivot and just look up cute graphic design in general because I wasn't really getting what I was wanting when I was just looking at examples of channel outros. Now this was definitely much more my vibe. I love all these cute pins, all these colorful, bright graphics and little pop-up things. At this point, I felt like I had enough stuff in my Pinterest board to just click on more ideas and kind of see what Pinterest had decided to lay out for me, because I really love their algorithm, honestly. You can see that I'm just adding pins here and there. Also, my laptop fan's really loud right now. I don't know if that's coming across in the audio. If it is, I'm sorry. There's kind of just no controlling that. Maybe eventually I'll get a better laptop and the fan won't be so loud. But that's pretty much what I'm looking at here. I really liked all these options that Pinterest had kind of curated for me, and I think this is definitely the vibe that I was going for. So eventually I found this specific pin that I absolutely loved. I felt like, yes, when I found this is the vibe that I want. This is how I want my channel to look. I loved the cute little shapes, the pastel colors, the little checkerboard. Honestly, it looks very stereotypical Gen Z, but I still really liked it, and I still wanted to save it on my board and kind of use it as my main inspiration for what my channel outro would look like, and most likely what my future videos are also going to look like. Okay, so at this point, I finally opened Illustrator. You can see kind of some of my previous projects, might blur that out. But at this point, I just copy and paste my main photos from my Pinterest board and put them directly into Illustrator. I think it's just easier to have them side by side rather than constantly having to go to a different tab. I also don't work with dual monitors, unfortunately, so I don't have the luxury of looking to one side, looking to the other. Here you can just see I'm copying and pasting my main inspirations. That one color palette I liked, that one graphic I really liked. I think it's for a website actually, but yeah, my main vibe, if you will. So at this point, I realized that I needed to have designated spots for the thumbnails that I was gonna use. So I actually went onto my YouTube dashboard, I don't know what it's called, YouTube Studio, and I was kind of looking at the templates that they had laid out for you and kind of seeing what the sizes of the thumbnails had to be, because I didn't know if there was a specific standard size. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. You can see that I take a screenshot and copy and paste it into my Illustrator file and resize it for me to figure out how big my thumbnails should be. There should definitely be an easier way to do this. I might have been making my life more difficult by doing this, but this is kind of just how my brain decided to work and how I decided would be the easiest way to do this. You can see I'm just trying to resize and figure out how I should make my thumbnails and where I should place them. So I end up making these green little shapes as thumbnail placeholders for where I want to put everything. You can see I rounded the corners of the rectangles so it'd look cuter. And right now I'm just using the eyedropper tool to kind of see what colors I want to use. I end up going for this pink background that I really like. I feel like this video is also going to expose how messy I am with my layers. If I'm making something for someone else, my layers are very neat, I promise, but when it's for myself, I kind of don't care and just do whatever is quickest. You can see here that I'm just playing around more with the eyedropper tool. I wasn't sure if I wanted the icons to be green or to be pink, etc. So I'm just kind of playing around with it all. I end up going for these green icons with pink outlines. I wanted to go for a cute little zigzag pattern around my circle, kind of like in my inspiration. You can see that the zigzag tool in Illustrator didn't really work and wasn't really giving the effect that I wanted though, so I ended up having to try other things. I thought, oh, maybe I could do pucker and bloat. We love pucker and bloat here. If any of you have ever used Illustrator, chef's kiss. It's one of my favorite tools, but again, still wasn't really giving the vibe that I wanted. So I had to kind of pivot, which is something I do a lot while designing this. I end up making this ridiculous shape using the radial repeat tool, and I use the shape builder tool to kind of put it all together. Again, definitely probably a much easier, much neater way to do this. I realized that while I was doing it, I was like, dang, I don't know if I should do it like this. I'm also doing all this with my trackpad. I'm not using a mouse. So here I individually end up having to delete all those little diamonds. Didn't take too long, but try to be more efficient than I'm being over here right now. I end up making this shape and I'm happy with it, but I'm not so happy with the colors that I had chosen. I didn't like the pink outline, so I was like, oh, what if I do a blue one? And the pink pastel background was a little too pastel, but then I ended up going for it again. I feel like almost 75% of the time it takes for me to complete a design is me just trying to figure out what colors I want to use. I'm already 20 minutes into this design. I don't know how far you guys are into it yet. I'm already 20 minutes into designing and I've barely done anything. Most of it has just been mood board and colors, so that kind of gives you an idea as to what my design process is like, honestly. You can see I end up going for this richer green color. I liked this way more, and I made a dark green outline instead of the pink one. I felt like it just matched, but I did feel like it was missing something, so I was like, oh, what if I make a lighter color on the inside? You can see that's what I'm doing right now. I ended up adding Gaussian, is that how it's pronounced? I ended up adding blur to it, which I felt really brought the whole thing together. When I did that, I was like, yes, now we're cooking. This is looking very cute, very, very cute. I was really liking it. You can see that I'm not very exact with my percentages as well. I was kind of just going off by vibe. I know some people add a specific percentage for everything. Not me though. At this point, I'm choosing the font. This is the font that I end up going for. I can't read it, but you can see it on screen. I really like this. It's one of the fonts that's on Adobe Fonts, so it's not one of the automatic ones that you just get on Illustrator. This isn't the color that I go for. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out the placing of the font, where I want it to go. I felt like having thanks for on one side and watching on the other side wasn't very even. I was also trying to see what color my inspiration was going for. It looked like they were using not completely black, but a version of that. So either like a grayish or a brownish color, which is what I end up going for too. So this is the placement for the font that I end up going for. At this point, I also realized that my outlines for my shapes were too thick. When I reduced it to around 4, it was much better. You can see that I went for kind of a muted, more saturated grayish brown color instead of just black. Now, this is the fun part where I add all the little cutesy designs that make the ending credit or ending card feel more complete. Here, I wanted to add little twinkles and little stars. I was debating what color it should be, but I kind of just ended up going for white. I used the pucker and bloat tool again. Love that tool. Probably use it too often, but it's just so good. I end up adding all these little twinkles. It's pretty much just copying and pasting the same one. And I'm looking at my designs again because right now my ending card feels really empty. At this point is when I go back to my Pinterest board instead of just looking at my Illustrator file, because I kind of felt like I had lost the plot. And I was like, oh, this is missing stuff. It feels really plain. I know sometimes less is more, but not for me. So I was kind of just looking at my board again, seeing what I was missing. So I end up filling that void with these cute little flowers. I made them way more pink, a little corally, I'd say, just to offset all the pastels going on. I really like these. I felt like they added that touch that the ending card was needed. Right now, I think it's looking very cute, definitely the vibe that I'm going for. And I'm kind of just splattering them around everywhere. While looking at my inspiration, I still felt like I was missing something, so I decided to add a little whoosh, I guess, around the whole image. I thought that would give everything a little bit more movement and it would look a little more dynamic, because right now it felt very flat, I'd say. Here I am just playing around with the placement. I was wondering, oh, should it be a dotted line? Should it have varying widths instead of just one width? Again, just to make it look a little more interesting. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to go for, but I ended up going for the varying widths. I didn't like how basic the single width looked like, and I felt this looked a little more whimsical, I guess. At this point though, I still felt like the color was a little too saturated for it being a background element. So I also later decide to change the color and make it look a little more chill, I'd say. I was also working in trim view because I didn't want the outside elements to distract me and kind of take away from what the final design would look like. So I still felt like I was missing something even with the little squiggly line and all the little effects. So I decided to add a drop shadow. Now, I don't know how other people feel about drop shadows. I know some people think they're tacky. I think they're really cute if they're done well. I decide that I don't want any offset for my drop shadow. I just want it to be right in the middle. And I also play around with the color. I knew I didn't want it to just be black, so I went for like a pinky rosy type of color, and I played around with the opacity and the blending mode a bunch more too. Now the design is really starting to take shape. I really liked how it was looking now with the drop shadow, with all the lines, the little shapes. The font made me really happy. I thought it was really cute. It still looked kind of plain to me, so I was kind of playing around with the placement of things, and I thought about adding those little ellipses. Is that the plural for ellipse? I don't know. I thought about adding an ellipse around the type that you sometimes see in graphic design these days. I don't end up going for that, but I kind of also just wanted to add in that there's a lot of trial and error when it comes to creating a design. And in this situation, it was an error. I didn't really like how it looked, and it looked a little bit too busy, but I wanted to add it anyway because, you know, it's my design process. I also try and add an outline. Again, didn't really end up keeping it, and I was having a lot of trouble with the zigzag tool. Again, sometimes it works really well, not in this situation. I just wasn't liking the way it was looking. Again, just looked too busy, but it was nice to try it and see if it would look good, at least in the beginning. I still felt like I was missing a certain touch, so I was like, okay, what can we do to the type then? So I decided to duplicate it and just make the duplicate only have strokes instead of fill, and I really liked the way that looked. I was like, yes, chef's kiss. This is what I was looking for. This is the touch that I needed. I feel like this makes me sound crazy because other people watching might just be thinking, girl, that barely made a difference. Like, what are you even saying? But for me, it made a difference for me. Okay, I felt like it looked cuter. And you can see I'm just kind of playing around with the placement, where I want to put it, and I just end up doing the same thing for all the words as well. So this ends up being my final design. Here I am doing the little trim view so you guys can see it in its entirety. I was really happy with it. I think it looks really cute. You're gonna see it at the end of this video, but let me know what you guys think. Are you liking the aesthetic? Do you feel like I should change anything to it? I thought maybe later in post I might add little animations to it on After Effects. I thought that would be cute. But yeah, this was pretty much my design process. So guys, that concludes today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was really fun for me to make, and if you liked it, I'll definitely be making more of that in the future. I did have technical troubles with my computer fan. Hopefully that didn't make the audio sound too bad. If it did, I'm sorry. It's just not worth me re-recording, but in the future I'll definitely see what I can do to mitigate that. I want to say thank you again for all the support on the last video. It was literally so sweet. Again, totally not expecting anyone to see that video, so the fact that you guys left such sweet comments and decided to subscribe really meant the world to me. Besides that, thank you so much for watching and for the support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all the YouTuber things. I can't believe I'm saying that right now. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye!